There are a few ways of making a monogram, and we'll have a look at a couple of these. One is using the shape tool, and the other is using the pen. What you'll first notice when you open up the template is that you'll have a whole bunch of layers. Most of them are locked. The one that reads Artboard box, that too should be locked. You end up with the box on the very, very top that you'll actually be making your artwork. That's the one you'll be working in. Eventually, you'll be unlocking other layers to put information, to work with the box being this 77 by 77 millimeter square. Let's start with using the rectangle tool. So I select that, and I can just drag across. Now I'm making a reference to my design. I'm using the grid as a guide, and if you want to hide the grid for whatever reason, every so often you want to hide it, all you've got to do is hit Command quotation marks, hit Command quotation marks again to bring them back. I can now select all 4 of those rectangles and make sure that my Pathfinder tool is open. If you go to Window, Pathfinder, and open it up, then you can use the first tool on the left to unite all the objects that have been selected. We have now converted 4 shapes into one, and let's continue with the second letter. Now that we've roughed in our monogram, we can make our fine tuning. So using the direct selection tool, that is the white arrow, not the black arrow, we can select portions of our design and we can move them to merge or to overlap with the letters in the style of the Vienna Secession. So we can do this 2 ways. We can select a line, then use the Shift key and an arrow to make chunky moves, or very fine moves, just use the arrow on its own. Otherwise, you can actually pick that line up and just drag it across while holding the Shift key. That gives you a constant angle. If you don't use a Shift key, potentially this could be happening. Mind you, you may want to do that if you wish. I think I will. Kind of looks interesting. Now, it's important that these 2 objects, the E and the S, are actually on the same line or slightly overlapping. The way of telling that is by turning off the preview, by hitting Command Y, and that way you can see all the hidden artwork. You can zoom in and click off, and I can see that these 2 shapes are butting side by side. To move around your artboard, just hold down the spacebar and use your mouse. Okay, I think that's going to work for me. So I'm going to go zoom back out again, which is zooming back out is Command 0, and bringing back the preview, it's Command Y. We can now go to our shape builder. First, select the objects you want to unite. I've just kind of clicked and dragged over that area, and I can now go to my Pathfinder, select Unite, and now they are united. Okay, select the shape, go to make sure the fill's on top, and then you can go to your swatches, and that's pretty cool. I might just turn off the grid and you get to see the design itself. Now, what you have to eventually do is then scale this down to fit into here and here and here. We're going to need to unlock the artwork box layer and then select both the box and the monogram. Command C, Command V, and and I'm going to relock the artboard box. I don't need that anymore for the time being, so I've made a copy of it here, and it's been transferred to the top layer. I know it's a top layer because top layer is coated in purple, and when I hit anything on this layer, it's also coated in purple. Now we need to scale down the second design. Go to Object, Transform, Scale 50%. I should bring up the guides again to see where to place this scale down monogram. So Command colon, and there we go. Okay. Now we need to make a copy of our scale down monogram. So let's select all the artwork related to that particular monogram, including that rectangle. Command C, Command V, and let's just drag it into the second box there. Okay. Now what we have to do is invert the contrast. So basically we're taking negative spaces now have to become shapes. And to do that, once we've made the selection of the actual shape of the letters, the monogram itself, and the box that surrounds it, we can now go to Shape Builder and select each of these spaces, just click on them, and now we have these negative spaces, which are actually shapes. We do the same with the letters. So now we have, if we just click off by going to the to the selection tool, click off. I'm going to hide the guides by hitting Command colon, and now you can see if I move it, we have two things. We've got two types of shape. One is the shape which was our original, and these are now the shapes which are the negative spaces. I'll just hit Command Z to put that back into place. So we want the inside spaces to be black and the outside spaces or shapes, sorry, to be white. So I'll do one at a time, and all you've got to do is really, rather than going to swatches and choosing black, you can just drag the stroke over to the fill. We'll do that for each one of these. Now, it's hard. It's sometimes going to be hard for you to select just the negative shape. You may need to lock the actual monogram shape, and the way to do that is just to select it from a place that's convenient, then going Command 2, and Command 2 is basically Object Lock. So what that means is we've locked that the actual monogram itself, and now we're free to select the negative shapes. That may sound a little confusing, but just have a go at locking particular objects. And in order to copy the effects I've already chosen for this first negative shape, I just use the eyedropper, having selected what I want to change, then just going to the source and going just selecting it. I can do the same without changing tools. I can hit the Command key, and from the eyedropper, I go to the selection tool, and while hold down the Command key, select that shape, go to what I want to copy, and done. So now I have the inverted monogram. We are now ready to complete our design. We need to firstly unlock by going to Object, Unlock All, or going to Option Command 2. And now we have unlocked that square that we locked earlier, so we had easier access to the negative shapes. Now we need to select everything in that design, go Command C, Command V, and then drag that across to the third guide box. And now it's simply a task of reflection. It's right click, transform, reflect, and all we're going to do is hit vertical and OK. and now we have a reflection. Now this is necessary because whenever we print, the actual image is facing the paper. Okay, so that's our design. Please save this as an Illustrator file. That's the default, but also save as a PDF. You'll be uploading the PDF and the Illustrator file.